Lazarus Recovery YouTube, and I'm Chuck, and I want to go over a bit of the overview of what we're doing right now, sort of an intro to everything. Currently we are looking at the steps, and I've done steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and generally this is an overview of my sort of quick take on each of the steps, sort of a different look. If you want to get the real accurate stuff, you can go to CR's workbook, or you can go to the 12 and 12, AA's 12 and 12, and I'm not too sure what NA calls it, but it's probably the same as the 12 and AA's 12 and 12. They have their take. CR has its own take. They do 8 principles and stuff, but it's basically the same thing. You know, turn your will and your life over. You know, run an inventory, tell somebody about it, make amends, and start up a recovery type of operation of carrying the message. You know, whether it's the recovery message for AA or NA, or whether it's the gospel with CR. That's generally the steps. And so I've got a bunch of step things. They're not like a detail thing. They are just my take on some of the things and some anecdotes and stories. I'm also doing a boundaries set of studies, and those boundary studies are in a series called Boundaries. And I'm going to go over the Boundaries book, and you'll be able to look below. I leave a link for the Boundaries books, and you can go there and get more information. Again, there's sort of an overview. I just look at the overview, I skim over the top, and I make observations about the place of boundaries in recovery and stuff like that, because I've been around a while in AA at the beginning and in the church since. And so these are basically, I'll skim at least first right over the edge and give you some of the details and point you in a direction for more detailed study. You know, maybe later we'll go into a much more detailed study. Sometimes I'll do just basically, you know, biblical studies. I used to teach in the city in Worcester, and once a month I teach. And it was generally, I did sort of the steps, but it was more of a biblical thing. I taught out of various parables and stuff like that. Over the years I've taught in various places, and that's generally what to do. I teach off a parable or a biblical thing and bring in recovery principles, and I probably will do that, you know, because there's some parables that just are made for that. But currently right now I'm working on the steps. I'm working on boundaries, and I just started a series on life in the spirit, and that's basic, and that, you know, that's going to be tied in. I'm going to put them both together. Bondage breakers, you might not have heard of it, but bondage breakers and life in the spirit sort of go together, because basically they're very similar. You know, there's a list of things that you know, from your past that you need to be take spiritual attention to, and that's what I'm going to do in that particular series. I'm going to go through the list. I'm not going to go through everything about boundaries. I'm not going to go everything about the other stuff, but I'm going to talk to you in the bondage breakers about that list. And the funny thing is, that list is pretty much the same list that's in Life in a Spirit seminar. And I'll show you, make some listings and show you some resources that you can go to. But that's basically the outline. Lazarus Recovery is going to be a sort of a listing of the things I've found over the years. It's not going to be exhaustive, but I'm going to share my experience, strength, and hope, a little bit of my craziness about that. And I want you to make comments below, and you know, if you want to, you can get the books. And I'm going to share a little bit of I guess this is my, you know, my strength and hope, experience, strength, and hope about this stuff. But these are things that have helped me. These are things that have meaning to me. And in the course of things, I'm going to also see. I'm sort of a crossbreed. I'm a half-breed. I got sober in AA, and I've stayed sober in the church. And so I want to share my experience, strength, and hope, and the knocks and the bruises of that. So it's going to be a mixed bag. You know, I want to talk about Jesus a lot, because that's how I've stayed sober the last 30 years. You know, but the AA, NA, the basics, the slogans and stuff like that, I'll probably do a little series on the slogans, because they're important. I think the funny thing is, I think they're more important for Christians than they are for people in AA, because they haven't heard them, and I think that they'd help Christians a lot. Simple stuff. Christians have a tendency to be a little complicated in areas that aren't important, and a little not so good in areas that are simple but really, really important. So a little cross-pollination of information would be really, really, really good for everybody. So there'll be theology, because I'm my father's son. He was a theologian, and so I'm sort of a theology wonk anyway. So I want to talk a little bit about theology. You know, I want to talk about the Bible, so be prepared. If you're in recovery, I want to talk about spiritual things, because it's AA, NA is a bit of a spiritual wilderness. There's all sorts of stuff. You know, there's all sorts of beasties running around there. And I'm going to, you know, give you my experience, strength, and hope about those particular things and what the journey of faith is like. You know, so Lazarus Recovery is going to be a mixed bag of stuff. You know, I want you to at least be able to understand my journey and the things that I went through, and I want you to get a genuine curiosity about everything. I want you to figure it out. You're sober, you're clean, you're one day at a time. You're working the steps in one form or another in CR, or you know, someplace you're working the steps. So I want you to have a little bit of my experience to, you know, ease the way a little bit. I can't fix it, but I can ease the way a little bit for you. So that's this is an introduction to Lazarus Recovery, where it is right now, in the very beginning stages. I'm going to work a little bit about editing to make them a little more flashy. I'm going to try to organize the material a little more so that you get some idea of what I'm trying to do. And I think I'm not trying to be too detailed, but I want it's sort of like a travel log of the spiritual and the recovery, so that you at least have an idea of what the terrain is. If you're just starting out, you know, watch these and get an idea what's ahead. If you're a parent or a significant other of somebody in recovery, I want to really talk to that. That's why I'm doing boundaries. Boundaries has everything to do with codependency and a whole bunch of related to alcoholics and addicts and people in recovery from mental illness and stuff like that. Boundaries are extremely important in all those areas to maintain sanity. So we'll talk a little bit about Al-Anon and Narconon and all the family support stuff. I'll try to I know a guy that has done family meetings and runs family meetings, so he's got long-term sobriety, and maybe we can sit down and chat, and he can give you some information. So I also want to reach out to those people, because I get phone calls because I run a sober house, and I end up in long conversations with mothers and fathers and wives and all this other stuff about their significant person who is in addiction. And I almost have more compassion for them than I do for the active addicts, because they don't have a clue what to do about it. And everything is counterintuitive. Everything that you think is good isn't really good. Christians have a tendency to be have trouble with counterintuitive things about recovery, because they think that the more codependent you are on a person, the better he's going to be. And so we're going to talk about that. You know, we got to talk about the way boundaries work, the way you know, what a you know, adult child of an alcoholic has to go through. You know, how to recover from being with somebody that's completely nuts, who's on a destructive path and leaves this wake of destruction behind them. We'll talk about that, you know. So if you're a adult child of an alcoholic, or if you're a spouse of an alcoholic or an addict, you know, or you're married to a recovering addict or alcoholic, or you're a Christian married to a recovering addict or alcoholic, you know, just stay tuned. We're going to talk about boundaries. We're going to talk about faith. You know, it's not going to be a spiritual or non-Jesus, you know, because that's how I stayed sober. So I'll talk a little bit. I want to splice in that whole piece because I feel really bad. I'm sort of a recovering person from a really devastating relationship, and I have kids that we're all sort of healing from something that was pretty traumatic in our lives, and so we've had to develop boundaries. We've had to understand. We had to really seek God and get squared away with Him. So come around, try us out, listen, you know, and comment. Apparently you can comment below. There'll be in each lesson permutations of it. So if you're interested in that, you know, just comment below, let me know, and you know, we'll really work at putting something like that together so we can talk. I want to reach out to the you know, the family suffering piece, because you know, this is a contact sport. Recovery is a contact sport. Nobody escapes damage on this thing, you know, because you know, it's not just the drugs and the alcohol or anything like that. There's a whole, it's a mental, they say a mental, physical, and spiritual thing, and everybody in contact gets damaged mentally, physically, and spiritually. And so, you know, if you're related to a drunk and an alcoholic, or you know, a abuser or something like that, you know, you have to protect yourself, but you also have to understand that you have to get in recovery of some sort of kind to overcome the damage that happens. There's no, you can't escape the fact this is a contact sport. If you're in a committed relationship, you know, or you know, like you have a child that's in addiction, you're in a battle, you know, you're in a contact battle, and that leaves marks, you know, and you need support, you need help, and we'll talk about it. You know, you can reach out to us, but you know, we'll point you in the right direction. We'll point you to groups, Al-Anon, Narconon, whatever NA's thing is for that. You know, CR. You know, there's a whole bunch of places to go, you know, getting involved. So we'll point you out to those. You know, I know it's a broad spectrum of things, but I really want to reach out and give information to people that don't know. They need a first place. We're not going to be the final end all about information, but we'll be the first thing, the first person that you stumble on that says, hey, you ought to go here. You know, no, seriously, you should go here. No, that seriously looks like a problem. I know, you know, no, that's rationalization. You're covering up and rational. No, you're enabling it. You're not. No, just it's. You say, yeah, I'm the first one it ever has happened to. No, you're not the first one. You're not the first one by a long chance, long shot. You are just one of many, because I've been sober a long time. I've worked with some people, and it's amazing the similarities. You just listen to them, you know. You listen to people when they come into the house and stuff like that, and the patterns are never the same, but they're not really that different. They're not really that different, you know. Relationships with people that need to be in recovery are as different as everyone can be, but they're really a lot the same. They're very, very similar. It's the details that change a little bit, but the overall stuff just doesn't change. It's the same stuff. You know, it's almost like they're cars, and you talk to people and you say, yeah, the car wreck is the same. You know, it's a head-on collision. You know, or it's a side-on collision, but they're basically the same. I mean, guys that repair cars probably, okay, it's a head-on. Well, that's the same way in this recovery stuff. You talk to people that are related to people in addiction, and it's a head-on collision. You know it from the first minute, okay, and you sort of know what's going to happen. The details are a little different, but it's always the same thing. The windshield's broken, the fender's in the engine, and the engine's in your lap. The kids are buggered up in the back seat. It's just, it's a car wreck. And you pretend it's not a car wreck. Well, it's a car wreck. It's the first beginning of healing in that is, I'm in a car wreck. This is a car wreck. What do I do? What do you do when you're in a car wreck? You get the car towed. So we'll talk about getting the car towed. We'll talk about a lot of things. And you might not like it. I mean, you turn it over to your pastor will watch it, he'll call me, he'll text me, or he'll do underneath there, and he'll ream me out. That's okay. I've been reamed out a lot sometimes. I don't care. As long as I think that I'm saying good information to you, true information to you, and give you a platform of understanding so that you can make good, God-filled, intelligent, fact-filled decisions about really crucial things in your life. And I'm not going to be the end-all and be-all. I mean, I'll tell you right away. You need a therapist. No, maybe you got to take care of yourself. No, you're a drunk, you're an addict, you need to get into treatment. You need a therapist. No, you got mental issues. You need to go to a doctor and get a diagnosis and get on medication so you can stabilize yourself, so you can make progress in your situation. No, you can't drink socially. No, you can't do that. No, you can't do it cheap. You can't go cheapy on recovery. You got to go all in recovery. You can pick your place, but you got to go all in recovery. No, if you have a son or a daughter or a husband that's a drunk or an addict or something, no, you can't fix them. No, there's nothing. It's not your fault. You can't fix them. You just set the boundaries good, and you let them float or sink on their own. That's hard business, but that's the way recovery is. It's a hard business. People die from it. Families die from it. People get hurt in this business. This is warfare. This is contact warfare. And we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk a little bit about all those permutations of things. Spiritually, what can you do? We'll talk about Jesus because that's what works for me. We'll talk about the theology behind Jesus, that kind of thing. We'll talk about AA and NA and where they came from and how they are now and all the different things. And so if you're looking for your son or your daughter and you want some information, I'll give you the information. We'll talk about AA, we'll talk about NA, we'll talk about treatment, we'll talk about programs around what they look like, we'll talk about the varying forms of sober houses and halfway houses and detoxes and treatment programs and extended treatment programs and all of that stuff. So you're a little educated when you go into the battle. You don't go in and get run over by a truck. You might be able to dodge a few. Yeah, and we'll tell you the things you got to do that you don't want to do. So there's a lot of information we have that we can give you, but the bottom line is we'll come along with a journey for you, but we can't take the journey for you. Maybe you'll miss a few of the detours, but come along. Join us. Together is better than alone. By every streak with imagination, you stay with us. You stay committed to the process, and you come along with us. And I'll share as much information as I've gotten in my years running around in this stuff. Won't be everything, won't be even remotely anything, but I hopefully will trigger places and point things. That's my main job, just like point you to things. I'll introduce books, I'll introduce concepts, I'll introduce ways of looking at things that'll give you half a chance of not making my mistakes. So that's the introduction to the up and coming things. It's like what's happening next season on Survivor. This is like what's happening in the next few months and in the next year on Lazarus Recovery YouTube. Those are the things we can look at. We're going to whatever Survivor is going to do next. Well, we're going to take a trip to maybe recovery places. We're going to take a trip to Al-Anon. You're going to find out what Al-Anon is, what AA is, what sober houses are like, what the rules are, all those different things. We'll take an adventure, and come along with us, and you'll learn some stuff, maybe hopefully not make the mistakes we made. So that's my introduction. Recovery is a bit like Survivor, you don't have a choice. You get dumped on an island with people you don't do here. I really want you to come along, try the videos, look at them, comment below. I welcome you to Lazarus Recovery YouTube. I'm just learning, so you're going to have to be patient with me. I think I've been in it like maybe a shade less than a month now. So we're learning about the video, we're learning about the whole thing, and so come along with us and see the adventure of us learning about how to talk to you. And please interact with us. Let us know what you think. Criticize us if you want, but come along. Just come along and let me know. To the guys in the house, I'm going to be giving you the link, so I welcome the guys in the house. So I'm going to teach what I'd want to teach them, so I give them a chance to go out to a meeting early. So to the guys in the house, I call out to you and I say, hey, this is the stuff that I don't bore you to tears with. You can turn me off whenever you want to. But this is stuff that I want to teach you too, about the whole adventure of recovery, the adventure of staying sober, the adventure of a new life. And for you people, the family of the guys that are in the house, come along. If this is what I want to teach your guys, but this is what I want to teach you too, because a lot of the guys in the house have got stuff and relationships that are tangled up. So come along, and I'll probably try to make some points to the people, the significant others of the guys in the house. Might be fun, might not be fun, but come along. To the parents of the people and the guys in the house and the people in recovery, come along and listen, because I want to talk to you too. I have conversations all the time with people, parents of people that want to get in the house. And, come along and we'll talk about the stuff that I want to tell them about. I want to, say, just from experience. And, if you're in the field and you think I'm a moron, comment below. Get in touch with me. If we have a good conversation, I'll let you sit here and be a fool with me, and we'll talk about it. I'm not proud here, dude. I'm 73. In 15 or 20 years, it really won't matter. But for right now, they're dying. They're dying every day, and parents are dying when they die. So come along. Let's put our heads together and let's learn a few things. And for those, used to say in AA, we're here for those that are still suffering. And I've been graced with 44 years of sobriety. Not the most wonderful mental health period, but I'm sober. I'm alive. I'm not pretty, but I'm alive. I'm not young, but I'm alive. I'm not alone, because the Lord is with me, and I have friends, and I have kids, and I have a blessed life, because I didn't drink, I didn't use, and God was in my life. So come along with us. Maybe you can find God in your life. Maybe you can get your family to be in your life. Maybe You don't have to die on the concrete and the tar part of the roads. Maybe you don't have to die face down on Chandler Street with everybody driving by looking at your corpse. Maybe you don't have to do that. Maybe you can have a life second to none, pulled from the wreckage of it. Maybe as a father and a mother you can have a period of joy. You're going to be terrified at every moment if you have an addict or an alcoholic as a child, but you will find a life second to none. You will recover from being the significant other of an alcoholic or an addict. You come along with us. You do what you need to do. We'll teach you. We'll talk about it. You can check it out someplace else. You can say, I heard this moron. What's he saying? Is he saying right or wrong? Take it to your pastor. Take it to whoever. Take it to your shrink and say, I heard this video, and I don't know whether the guy is a lunatic or what. That's okay. Maybe I am a lunatic. But, listen to the information, check the information out. There'll be references down below. You can buy the stuff, or you can look at it and then go and see if you can get it at the library. A lot of this, the Bondage Breakers, the Boundaries are all very popular books. You can get a Bible in millions of translations every place, and we'll be looking at that. Maybe you don't know Jesus, maybe you do. Maybe you're Baptist, maybe you're Pentecostal, maybe you're Unitarian, maybe you're whatever. Maybe you're long distance from where I am. Maybe you're LBGT or whatever. Maybe you're whatever. Maybe you're Republican, maybe you're Democrat, maybe you're whatever. But if addiction and stuff that needs recovery is in your life, you're a member of a community that doesn't know politics or anything. You're a member of a community that is on a boat in a rough ocean. You need Jesus to still the waters. You need to be holding hands with people and holding on for dear life. You need to be in a lifeboat, because it's not fun to be out in a rough sea alone. So come along, grab any information that we have. We'll send you to any place that you're willing to go, and get better for you. If you're a person who has a person in addiction, you need to recover too. It's a contact sport to be related to an active alcoholic or addict or abuser or whatever. You need recovery. You need to be healed and reconciled to God and to the whole thing. So you come along. We'll give you suggestions and point the way. You don't even have to talk to us again or listen to us again, but if you hear something that works for you, take that and run with it. I don't care. I don't care. The Lord says do this, I do it. Will it work? Who knows? Will it help me? I don't know. Will it help you? Maybe. Will it be me or somebody else? It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you take a look at Jesus, you take a look at recovery, you take a look at getting better, you take a look at, grabbing a life buoy in a rough sea you're in right now. So, I just pray that you would be blessed, that you would be comforted, that you would understand that in the rough seas you're in right now, there is a God who will respond to your call. There's a God that will respond to your call. The disciples were in a boat, and Jesus was in the water. Sometimes he was in the boat. They said, Lord, Lord. And he just simply spoke to the ocean, and it was calm. Well, you might not believe it, but the same thing. You're in a boat that's pitching all over, and everything is going crazy. The Lord can just come to you and say, peace, be calm. And I've experienced it a number of times. He does. Jesus has the ability to say, peace, be calm. And everything will calm down, and He'll bring order. And, I can't guarantee the result because we're all independent people. But if you want peace and calm in your life, go to the person who can calm these seas. And it ain't me, but we'll talk about that. I don't push Jesus, but neither do I shy away. And so, if you scratch me too deep, you'll find I'll bleed Jesus all over you. Because I'm 44 years sober because Jesus' power to keep me sober. Because I am not very bright. And I don't have a lot of discipline. The only time I have discipline is when I ask Him for help. So come along with us. Please come along with somebody. And this is an invitation to watch YouTube. Watch Lazarus Recovery YouTube. Contact us. We'll try to put you in contact with somebody that'll help you. And we'll give you information that you need and point you in the right direction. And maybe you only watch me once, but we can give you a bit of information and then you can bolt and never see us again. But hopefully God will take you to a place that you can get the help you need. And I just pray, oh God, in Jesus' name, that you would find peace, that your storm would be calmed in Jesus' name. And I just pray right now that your storm would be calmed in Jesus' name. And if you're in absolute crisis right now, I'm telling you one thing. Jesus, help me. Jesus, help me. Jesus, help me. Say His name over and over again, and things will change. Thank you. This is Chuck Beck, Lazarus Recovery YouTube. I just thank you, and thank you for watching, and be in touch, and God bless. Bye-bye.